Now what are they doing? Unbelievable. All right. I'm back. Let's see if you guys can see me and hear me again, and we'll try to keep this going. Let me get, I think I got everything set up, put slow mode in and all the other fun stuff so you can find it. Okay. I got no idea. You guys know YouTube has been messing with everything so bad. I mean, it was again, what was it, Tuesday night, 45 minutes afterwards. A few of you guys were there still trying to figure out how to end the chat 45 minutes after the live stream ends because there's a lot of people that watch the replays and the replay doesn't come on until the live stream ends. It's just a freaking mess. It drives me nuts driving, sitting on the chat room with people at YouTube going, let me check into this. I'm like, this is the third freaking time in a row it's happened. So, all right. So we will not go into any more of my soliloquy because I want to get into your questions. So let's start here real quick, guys. I'll let everybody know same rules as always, okay? If you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps. Makes it a lot easier for me to go through the uh, chat and see what you guys want to talk. And I try to get to as many as I can. The one thing I do require, guys, keep it civil, keep it polite. My mods are, as I've said every time, best in the business out there. You want to be an ass, they will toss you on your ass. So keep it civil, keep it friendly, keep it polite. Disagreement is fine, but if you want to start getting rude with other people, you will not be back. Okay, simple as that. Uh, so let's get into questions, guys. It's obviously it's a different chat, so if you guys ask something on the last live stream, I can't go back to see it. So you're gonna have to put it back in here. Let's see. All right. So getting down to questions. Brandon, how often do you apply the bone meal and liquid calcium fertilizer? Uh, Again, the liquid calcium, depending on your soil, what you're looking at with bone meal is going to be phosphorus, and the liquid calcium is specifically calcium. If you, I'm going to take a guess you're talking about tomatoes and peppers because you're talking about the liquid calcium. You should only need to do it when you plant the plants. If you see blossom end rot on any of your tomatoes and any of your peppers or whatever, hit it with some more liquid calcium. The bone meal that's going to depend on the plant again, but because bone meal is a slow release, chances are that's only at your planting time. Let's see. Mender Mom, potatoes. The eyes grew about 5 inches before we got them in the ground. Is this a big deal? No. Plant them and they'll be fine. Uh, you might have seen mine when I planted them. They were all wrinkly and shriveled, and they had my eyes were relatively green because I don't put them in complete dark. The reason they're white is they're looking for light when they'll get a little bit of green when they start to photosynthesize when they see some light. But plant them, no, you'll be fine. If you want to snip them back to make it easier to go in a hole to a couple inches, that's fine, but you can stick them in the ground just like it is. They'll figure it out. Okay, no problem. Whoops, we're shooting to the bottom already. Lorna, I got slow mode taken care of. That was one of the things I did in my 2 minutes. Gotta find where it was again. Hang on. Okay, next one. Lorna, but I was going to tell you something right before the stream ended. Yeah, I was just talking about the uh, $375 million, billion dollars, or whatever it is that Joe found out of his budget, even though we can't pay the bills, we've got money to send to Ukraine. So that was just basically it there. Grandma Prepper 22, have I ever dry canned potatoes or sweet potatoes? No, I have not. Basically, everything we do is pressure can them with them both. I will say this, sweet potatoes, best way to do it is pressure can them, okay? It's basically what you're getting when you buy a can of sweet potatoes at the store. It's the same thing. I will tell you this, regular white potatoes, I think taste better after they've been canned. The only downside is after they've been canned, you can't really make mashed potatoes. But if you like home fries or you like au gratin potatoes or anything like that, they're better canned than cooked after they've been canned than when they're fresh. My opinion, they just brings out the taste in them for some reason. Joan, thank you for the super chat towards something fun for me. Gee, I wonder what that might be this time of year. Something to work in the garden with. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. EZ, once you get vine borers on squash, should you just pull up the plant or can they be saved? They can be saved. I was talking about this either Tuesday or last Saturday, and basically what you need to do is literally get a syringe, a needle, and dose your plants with BT for it. You can inject it right there at the stem. That's literally the only thing you do. Chances of saving them, okay. It may be about 50-50. If it's early enough in the season, I'd I'd pull them and regrow them. At this point, I mean, I'm betting your plants aren't that big. I mean, unless you're way down south or something like that. But I just pull them and replant them at this point. Yeah. Grumpy G, best spray for pest control for my apple trees. Uh, oh my God, I just had a brain fart. Kale and clay. It's literally it's the same stuff that they make makeup foundation out of. Okay, but you get it for botanical uses. It comes in a powder. I mean, it's extremely fine. It's like chalk, and you just mix it with water, and then you can just go spray your trees. And as the water evaporates, the clay will stay on the tree. Okay, it'll give your tree that white hue of it. Okay, but the whole point of it is it's slightly gummy, and so the bugs don't like the kale and clay at all because it basically sticks to them and it messes up their breathing and everything like that. But kale and clay is organic and probably the best thing to get rid of any bugs on the trees. And at this point of the year, depending again on where you are, you don't want to spray the kale and clay when your trees are in bloom, okay, because that's where your fruit's coming from. You need them to pollinate. But once the blooms have all dropped, then you can hit it with kale and clay. And, you may have to do it multiple times throughout the year because the rain will rinse some of it off. But that is the best thing for fruit trees. Ellen Knipe, none of my potatoes came up. Is it too late to plant zone 7B? No, you should be fine. You've got plenty of time to go through summertime for it. I mean, you've got a later frost date than I do. So yeah, I just replant. Susan Lathrop, any more info on China since my morning video? That's the latest I've got on anything. Again, it's Saturday, so we're not going to hear a whole ton of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's something to pay attention to. When China starts calling in those notes, like I said this morning, that's why that's their intent on how they're going to take over the world. They're just going to foreclose on countries. Joseph Cook, am I familiar with Kratky hydroponics? No, I'm not. I don't do anything hydroponically. I don't have the space to do it in, and I've got plenty of garden space, so that is how I grow everything. So, nothing wrong with hydroponics. I just don't do it. Judy Boer, what do you top dress potatoes with after the first hilling? Anything balanced is going to be fine. You're really not, yeah, I mean, a 10-10-10 or something like that is fine. Depending on how high your plants are. I mean, if you're hilling them when they're 6 inches high, yeah, you still want the nitrogen. If you're hilling when the plants are large, then you're going for potassium and phosphorus. You don't need the nitrogen anymore. But right now, after your first hilling, which I'm assuming is when your plants are still very young, yeah, you still need the nitrogen. So anything, triple 13 or something like that, some sort of balanced fertilizer. Uh, Storm Chasing Gal, have I considered doing lives on Rumble? No, because I'm not paying $25 to do a live stream. That's literally what Rumble does. Rumble charges the content creator to do a live stream. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. Frank Drebin, YouTube conspiracy. They don't like the hard truth. Gee, and there's a surprise. I mean, how many of us have gotten strikes for telling the truth? All of us, you know. Kevin Little, even a shorter live chat with you is always worth it. Well, the only thing you missed was my soliloquy because we still got started at 10 after 9. So I got about 50 minutes to do Q&A. So we'll go from there. What is a good concealed carry insurance? Any of them that you can get. I have mine is with CCW Safe, but I mean, there's other ones that you can get. Just look at the big key to it is to look to see what states they're predominantly in, because the last thing you want to do is buy one from a company and go, okay, I've got my insurance, and then you go, and I'm just making this up, okay? And the company says, well, we don't have any lawyers in our system that are in Montana. And you go, well, crap, what have I been paying you for? So, before you get any of them, make sure that they've got a network of attorneys in your state, let alone your local area, because if you ever need that insurance and you want to call, the cops show up at your door, you say, I'm not answering any question. I was in fear for my life. I'm not answering any questions until I get a lawyer. Those are the only words that come out of your mouth. You don't want to be sitting there for 6 hours waiting for a lawyer to show up, because the cops are going to continue to ask you questions and you're just going to have to play mute. Patty L, any update on electroculture? It's only been in for a couple of days. When did I do it? Wednesday or something like that. So, I mean, if there's any difference, I wouldn't even be able to tell at this point. I mean, the antenna are still there, but no, I have no update as of yet. Kevin Grips says Rumble sucks for lives. Well, they ain't getting $25 for me to do it. I mean, I'll give you this, of all, not that I put up a ton of videos on Rumble, but I've probably got 25 videos up there. The revenue that Rumble has generated for me on all my videos was a whopping $50, guys. Okay, so no, I'm not going to start paying them to, do all the work and let them make all the money. I mean, we all get paid a pittance, and I'm sorry, but I think what I get paid by the ads that you guys have to watch is worth it for the time I put into this. But If YouTube ever came up and said, you got to start paying to put up content, goodbye. Not happening. Okay. Nanny D, strawberries are coming in well, but not very sweet, and the variety is supposed to be. Any ideas? It's got to be in your soil. Your soil isn't rich enough. It's the only thing I can think of. They're not pulling out the nutrients that they need to be. Go get yourself some Berrytone, Job's fertilizer. It's called Berrytone, and hit your strawberries with that. Let's see. Oop, we shot to the bottom again. Okay. Why are you arguing? Man, this thing's arguing with me today. Okay, let me try to get back up here. Do. Okay, somewhere close. Bob Mills, can you plant sweet potatoes in hay, or does it have to be straw? It can be in hay. That's not a problem. The only issue that you're going to get is the hay has a lot of seeds in it, and so when you start adding nitrogen to the hay, which is a grass, the hay is going to go, cool, let's grow. And so now you're going to have hay growing in your hay bales, because they're going to love that compost that you're trying to turn it into. And so therefore you're going to have something competing with the sweet potatoes for the nutrients. You can do it, just be prepared to be weeding your hay bales. pulling out any hay that germinates. New England Prepper, Zone 6B, Connecticut. When should I plant my sweet potato slips? Well, if you're Zone 6B, I'm Zone 6B, and mine went in this week. Okay, so now. Heather Braid, don't say money or Ukraine in the same sentence. It'll probably freeze again. Well, too late now. Dr. Data, how much of my food comes from the garden? I'm not a vegetarian, okay? You guys know, I mean, we buy a side of beef once a year, half a cow, buy that. I mean, every time I see pork on sale or something like that, we'll get it. And then we buy those 10-pound bags that you get of chicken thighs and chicken legs. But I'd say 75 to 80% of our fruits and vegetables come out of our garden. It depends. The only things, I mean, because there's some things that I can't do, like bananas. I can't grow bananas. I eat my banana every morning for breakfast, so we buy those. About the only vegetable that we buy is Brussels sprouts. Yes, I like Brussels sprouts. And fresh cucumbers. That's it. Now, here in a month or so, we won't have to buy any cucumbers for 6 months, but you can pickle cucumbers, but having fresh cucumbers, and Mrs. P loves her fresh cucumbers, those we have to buy. But I'd say everything else, yeah. I mean, for dinner tonight, we had pulled pork that I made last year. Okay, we don't grow our own rice. Okay, we had rice and some pickled peppers. Okay, that was dinner. So I'd say how much of our food comes from the garden? If I had to say overall, probably 40%. Because again, we don't have the meats. So, and I don't have dairy cows, so I don't have my own milk or my cheese or anything like that. So that's what I'd say, about 40%. Disney Up, Boiler Up. How often do my onions need a haircut? Chances are only once. Once they've grown enough. I mean, again, I'm talking about once you put them in the ground. Okay, when you're trying to grow seedlings, when they're real thin, like a piece of string, you got to keep them short, otherwise they flop. But once you've got them in the ground and they're starting to grow, at one time you're going to cut it down to 6 inches. They'll continue to grow. By the time they get that big again, they're bulbing already. So they're not going to be growing any more green. And so you need to keep that full canopy there. I mean, my onions are already bulbing. They're already about the size of a golf ball. So hoping for a good onion harvest this year. Hillbilly, howdy Pinball. Turned 2 on my compost today. Going to make great dirt. Turn mine every 2 weeks. Yeah, that's about right. 10 days to 2 weeks is usually enough. The one mistake, depending on how you're making your compost, okay. The one big mistake I always see people make is they keep adding to the same pile, and that's fine if you don't plan on using your compost till, say, December. But if you want to use your compost throughout the gardening season, you need to make a pile and then work on another pile. So, personally for me, I keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it, and then that all goes in the garden in the springtime. I'm done. By the time I'm done, grass clippings, leaves, weeds, whatever it is, it's in the fall. It's got all winter to compost. It doesn't freeze. My compost pile doesn't freeze down here, so I have that ability. You got to kind of figure out what works for you. So, just saying there. Hang on a second. I saw there were a couple of. I want to find these before I lose them. If I didn't already. Okay, there we go. Steve Snodgrass, thank you for the super sticker. Epic fail. And Original Osuck, thank you for the super chat. It says, some funds for a nice cowboy hat for Sunday lives from Texas with respect. Yeah, nice cowboy hat. I've had nice cowboy hats. And I mean, you're talking a couple $100, $200-$300 to get a decent one. So yeah. Yes, but thank you, though. I've had cowboy hats in Tennessee. The cowboy hat's not, well, in Tennessee, a fedora is not the thing either, but it is what it is. Thank you. All right. Let me see if I can find where I was again. I wanted to make sure I acknowledge those. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Karen Quaid, is diatomaceous earth best to sprinkle on pole beans that are being munched on? They are only 5 inches tall. Thank you for your advice. Yes, it's good. Without knowing what they're being munched on by. I mean, if they're being munched on by squirrels, diatomaceous earth isn't going to do you squat. Uh, yeah, I mean, if it's bugs, yeah, try diatomaceous earth. Start there. If that doesn't work, then you've got different problems. You need to figure out what your critter is. Uh, Vicinal Victor, have I thought about aerating my pond yet? I've got an aerator. I mean, that's not a big deal. I just don't need to use it yet. So I'm not, in order for me to use it, because there's no electricity at the pond, I've got to run electric all the way out to the pond, which means running an extension cord. If I need to use it, if I have a calm week where there's uh, no winds, no rain, no nothing like that, yeah, then I'll throw the aerator in there. I mean, I feed the fish every day. Mrs. B feeds the fish every day, one or two, and we inspect the fish. And if the fish are up near the top when we get out there before we fed them, we know they're low on oxygen. If they're not, then we know they're fine. So, Susan M1224, can you plant a tree any time of the year? I had to reset if you already answered. No, I hadn't already answered. No, you want to plant a tree either in, again, depending on where, in the fall or in the early spring. You do not want to plant a tree from now until I'd say at least September, because it's going to struggle too much in the heat. It needs some time to get its roots established before it's got to struggle in the heat. Moonlight Gardener, thank you for the super chat. You are most welcome. I try to do my best, and I appreciate the fact that you say I'm a blessing. I do appreciate that. Fastball 2611. Hello, Pinball. When the shit hits the fan, is there a recipe for our fur babies to have food? Yes, I believe. I will go look real quick. It is in, I did a whole video on it, on food for Fido. I believe it's in the Cooking with Mrs. Pinball recipe. Let me just check. There we go. Yeah. The video is called Feeding Fido. Yes, I've made that video, so you guys should be good to go if you want to just follow that. And most everything you can grow right out of your garden for it. Brenda Mackey, a lady in New York today said watermelon was $9. She said the store can keep it. $9 is cheap for a watermelon. I mean, if you're talking about a big watermelon, yeah. I mean, I'm seeing the little personal sized watermelons are selling for $5. Yeah. Now, if you're talking $9 a pound, yeah, you can keep it. But yeah, finding a watermelon for $9, that's cheap. Huts John, did any of my electroculture plants do a Jack and the Beanstalk yet? Like I said, it's only been a couple of days. I haven't seen any results. I've looked, okay, to see if it was, some miracle or whatever it was. The plants are growing, but I haven't seen any significant difference between them and anything else. But again, it's only been a couple of days. I'll give it a couple of weeks, a month, and then we'll see the difference. Where I'm looking at more than anything else is like watching Danny and Wanda's, where they had earlier production out of it. If I start getting earlier production out of those specific plants, fabulous. Where are we going here? Okay. Mark Rimmer, planting strawberries. How often should I put the homemade liquid fertilizer? I'm assuming you're planting plants that you bought, or that you started. You're not trying to go from seed here. I'd say probably twice, once when you plant them, and then once maybe about 3 weeks to a month later, and that should be it. So, Aline, we already answered that a couple of times. Let's see. Kay, is it too late to plant my rooted sweet potato slips? Well, depending on what zone you're in. I mean, if you live in Houston, eh, it shouldn't be too late. No, I can't think of anywhere it'd be too late because basically you want summer temperatures and you need 120 to 125 days between now and your last frost. So unless your last frost date is what, 4 months from now would be what, September 20th, which unless you're living way up north, which you might not even got dug out of the snow yet. I'm guessing no, it's not too late. My sweet potato slips only went in a couple of days ago, guys. So, and I'm 6B, so you know where I am. Willow Cat, where did I find my copper? I can't find any. I just went to the local hardware store and bought a spool of copper. That was a small spool of copper. Just look in the electrical department. Von Mousetrap, Mr. P, what's the end game with the open borders? Obviously, we don't need all these people to pick crops, as a certain senator said. Yeah, no kidding. The end game is that they're trying to kill the economy. Okay, they're expecting that it's the same thing like the video I did on reparations today. If you bring a whole bunch of people in and promise them free stuff, vote for me and I'll give you free stuff. That's what they're looking for. Okay. Hey, a whole bunch of illegals come across. Here's your phone. Here's your hotel room key. Here's your food stamps. Here's money. Whatever would be. Live it up on the U.S. government. Just make sure when election time comes, you vote for me. Look at all these cities that are trying to say you don't even have to be a citizen to vote. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing, and all this does. Like I've said many times, it's a race to the bottom. It brings the rest of us down because things are more expensive, supply and demand, there's more crowding, there's more crime, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Our quality of life gets better while they continue to go, hey, look at us. We're in power. Yeah, that's all it is. It's a control thing. Gary the Bulldog, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate that. And let's see where else we are going next. Vester Dillon, all my plants are doing awesome except my sweet potatoes. Depending on the weather, sweet potato, remember, you planted something in there and they had real, you got your slip, okay, but it probably only had a few roots on it, right? Like most of them, like mine. It's going to take them a couple of weeks to get that root system established so the plant can start growing, and then when they start, they'll go gangbusters. Okay. That's the thing about sweet potatoes. Every year they look, it's like, oh God, I don't know if they made it. They look bad. Then you go out there one morning and they're 3 times the size they were 2 days ago. You go, oh, okay, now they're here. Just give them time. Sweet potatoes also need warm weather. And that's one thing in a lot of places, like here, it was, we've had a couple of days in the 80s so far, and a lot of days in the 60s, maybe a week or so in the 70s. We've had a cool spring. So sweet potatoes want warmer weather. What is BT? Please don't make me try to pronounce it. It is a type of organic pesticide, if you will. But go do a search for, BT for gardening or whatever. BT is the abbreviation for the scientific name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Wendy Cosmero. Hi, Pinball. How is it legal that Colorado is giving Social Security to illegal immigrants? Well, first off, Social Security is a federal program, so Colorado can't be giving it. So if they've got some sort of in-state program or whatever, I don't know. But Social Security is a federal program, so Colorado can't do that. But there may be something else they are giving them. So basically, I can't really answer your question. I apologize. Home and Brave, clean bird poo off the porch, fencing house. How much SHTF? Clean bird poo off the porch, fencing house. How much SHTF space should I dedicate to bleach and other disinfectants? Uh, I had no way to answer that question. Uh, you know, it's like anything else. Whatever you can get one more. Okay, because if you got 3 gallons of bleach, 4 is better. So, you know, but again, you're not going to go. Okay, I've got a garage full of bleach and no food. So, you know, I don't know how much space you have, anything of the sort like that. But yes, you need to have cleaning supplies and disinfectants and everything like that. Tara Mullins, does diatomaceous earth hurt honeybees? No. Due to sunset, almost 100,000 subs. Yeah, what am I, 292 short or something like that? 6 months, like I said, Mrs. P and I thought we'd be there at Christmas time last year. So, yeah, 6 months later, here we are, still not here. So, I don't know. It might have something to do with the fact that I have a tendency to piss people off because, they can't handle the truth. You know, can't tell you how many people sit there and like to bitch at me in the comments or in emails or something like that. I can't believe you said that. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, you know what? Go back to being a normie. Goodbye. You know, please unsubscribe. Just don't care. You know, I'm going to tell you how to cow ate the cabbage. If you don't want to listen, that's on you, not on me. I'm not changing. Those are always my favorite emails when somebody says you need to. Somebody said a week or so ago, I needed to change the rules for my contests because they weren't comfortable giving out the state in which they lived in. No, sorry. 99,700 and some odd people in here. I'm not changing the way I do it for one person. Okay. Yeah, my house, my rules. Don't like it. There's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out. It's not bothering me. Linda Lowe, after planting strawberry roots, when do they start sprouting? You might see a little bit this year. You'll see a little. You're not getting any strawberries this year, that's for sure. Okay. You'll see a little bit of plants this year, sometime over the summer. Again, they're trying to grow roots. That's what they're doing now. Next year, you will see a lot of plants. Just make sure that you're digging up your runners, putting them where you need to be. I mean, we planted 5 strawberry roots last year, and you saw how many. There's probably 40 plants out there right now. Okay, that's just off of those 5 plants or 5 roots. But no, we had no strawberries last year or anything like that. Didn't expect them. But yeah, within a month, you'll start to see a little bit of green. Robert Bates, how are Tennessee and Connecticut in the same growing zone? Because because of the coast, the zone actually kind of runs up the East Coast, so it's almost like a hook. And because you get, especially when you're right near the coast, it gets warmer. And I don't know, I didn't make the zones, but that's what it is. It's all off of frost dates. That's it. So they're by the coast. They're going to get a later frost date. They're going to, later last frost date and an earlier first frost date and a later last frost date. Ugh. Spit that one out. Jeffrey asks, are my kids doing good? Meaning the puppies. Yes, puppies are doing well. So Copper went and got his monthly shot this week, and so for his skin allergy or whatever it is. So yeah, that's always fun. Just clip their nails and do all this sort of stuff. But yeah, they're doing fun. Daffy, of course, loves to still go swimming in the pond. She hasn't noticed a fish yet. So Robert Bates, when does Sunday live start? Never. I'm not doing Sunday lives. Uh, Sunset, I learned a 1 minute delay in slow mode is too slow. How about 30 seconds? No. Okay, I've done 60 seconds and it gets overwhelming for the mods. It gets overwhelming for me. Uh, with the amount of people in here, I mean, we've got some of these live streams that'll get 3,000 people in here, and the screen looks like it's a slot machine just going like this. So, no, we're going to stick to 90 seconds. Kim's Cluckers. I was thinking about planting potatoes in my chicken feed bags. What's your thoughts on that? Go for it. It'll work perfect. Okay. Any container you have is going to be good. I mean, you can plant in a cardboard box. Doesn't matter. Trash bags. As long as it's got drainage, you're going to be fine. Cardboard box you're going to get one use out of. No big deal. You got one use out of it. I mean, how many of us get Amazon boxes? Okay. They're brown cardboard. They're perfect for it. Plant it in a box. It'll decompose by the end of the year, but it's fine. Chicken feed bags, perfect. They're the mesh bags, perfect drainage, everything like that. Go for it. Carissa Cantwell, make sure hay or straw wasn't from a field they used grace on or it'll kill your plants. Oh, ain't that the truth? Okay. That's something that's very important to ask, and the places that you get it from are supposed to know. If you ask them and say, was the fields that this hay came from or the straw came from sprayed with graze on, and they're like, what's graze on? Don't buy the straw there. Okay. You're best off buying your straw from somebody who you can get it, the farmer who cut it himself and baled it and everything like that. That's the best case scenario. Under no circumstances buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that. That's a death sentence. Your local farmers co-op is usually a pretty good idea. They'll at least know what you're talking about. But if you don't know, and I've talked about this a few times. I mean, God knows, I think every YouTuber's talked about Graze on and any of the different brand names for it. But what Graze on is it's a weed killer that the farmers spray on their hay fields. And Graze on kills dicots but leaves monocots alone. Grass, hay, is a monocot. Peppers, tomatoes, anything that gives you two codlin leaves is a dicot. So, and most weeds are dicots. So they're killing all the weeds and keeping all the grass. Well, the problem is when the cow eats the grass, the cow does not, and you're using the manures or anything like that, we're using straight straw. Okay. It doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Neutralize the chemicals. So the chemical's still in the soil. So now you plant your vegetables in there, which are dicots, and the graze on is still in the soil, still in the manure, still in the straw, and you just kill your plants. So, yeah, the way to get it out is planting grass or something like sunflower or corn for 4 or 5 years, and then you'll suck enough of it out where you can go plant something else. Okay, you want to leave your gardens growing nothing but corn or grass or sunflowers, go ahead and try it. But yeah, excellent point there, Carissa, to remind everybody of that one. Yarn Prepper, I love when you do canning videos. Do more, please. Even if you did already, many newbies need a push. Okay, when we get into harvest season, I will do some of the things. Usually, you guys know. I mean, there's two different kinds of canners. Okay, there's ingredient canners and there's recipe canners. For the most part, I'm more of a recipe canner. All right, I'm not making a separate can with my ground beef and a separate can with my black beans and a separate can with all the things, and then put it all together and make my chili. I'm like, no, I make the chili, I can it all up, there's a can of chili. Okay. But yeah, I will probably do some canning stuff this year, because I mean, I know I did the sauerkraut one. Mrs. P wants to make kimchi. We want to put that away. I want to make galupsi, or if you're Polish, call it golumki. So stuffed cabbage rolls, want to be able to put those up this year. So those are some of the different things that I'll be showing recipes for or she'll be showing recipes for. Let's see. Okie Ranch wife. Oh, Sunday lives. No, there are no Sunday lives. That's Robert trying to cause trouble. North Alabama hiking. Where do you get the numbers for the growing zone? Go to almanac.com, almanac.com, and you type in your zip code, and it'll tell you what your grow zone is. Let's see. Huts John, I agree with Mrs. P. I love English cucumbers. Yes. A couple of years ago, we grew straight eights. Last year, I couldn't find English pepper seed or English cucumber seeds, so we grew Japanese cucumbers. You guys got a lot of Japanese cucumber seeds. This year, I found some English cucumber seeds, so that's what we're growing because those are her favorite cucumbers. And at $2 a piece in the store, I'm more than happy to grow them. So. $2 for a freaking cucumber. The thing's 95% water. Skeins girl, I'm making borscht for a Sunday dinner. Would a rotisserie chicken work in it? Yeah, sure. Just don't put the skin in there. But yeah, I mean, that would work fine in there. The only downside is that you're going to need the broth. So obviously you're not cooking your own chicken. So you're going to need to get a box of chicken broth or whatever if you're going to make chicken borscht. But yeah, rotisserie chicken will work fine. Any recommendations on natural remedies for mosquito repellent for the yard? Plant lemon balm, or something along the lines, or citronella geraniums are good ones. But lemon balm, if you plant lemon balm around the perimeter of the patio or whatever it is, that will help. Okay, here we go again. We're going to shoot to the bottom, move my way back to the top. Okay. Paladin 1, how often can I pee directly on my corn for nitrogen? Do not do that. You need to dilute it. So, put a pint of pee in a gallon of water, about 10-to-1 dilution, and do it that way. You're talking about very high concentration of nitrogen. You could possibly burn your plants. So definitely dilute the urine. And then, you asked how often? About once a month. Silicon Valley CA, hi Pinball, do you get revenue if we skip part of an embedded commercial? Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know how YouTube calculates it. It never makes sense to me what they do. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I mean, it's not the reason I'm here. I'm not complaining about it. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, no, I have learned more and enjoy more of this and get the word out on a lot of stuff, try to help other people. I mean, hell, that's been my entire career. But, I'm not complaining about getting revenue for it, but that's not the main purpose of being here. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Sunset. I'll agree with you on that one. Support veterans, not illegals. Yeah. Debs, how are the fish pond doing? Pond, we got a 1/4 inch of rain today, which probably raised the level of the pond about 2 inches. And the fish, we can see the fish. They look like they're getting bigger. I'm assuming they're the red ear, which were about 2 inches when we got them. They look like they're about 3 inches long now. So, but again, it's not like I'm submarining underneath looking at fish or whatever it is. As best we can see them. But they're still doing fine. We still see the minnows in there. So the minnows, they aren't big enough to eat the minnows yet. But man, do I have some frogs. Oh, walk along I told you about thousands of tadpoles. So those thousands of tadpoles are now little frogs. Go walk along the side of the pond, because they're all jumping off the side back in the water as somebody's coming close. So, and we have a rat snake running around the house that Mrs. P named Natashka, I think it was. And, rat snakes like mice, frogs. So things about 4 feet long too. A Statine 85. Do I have to hill potatoes in pots? It depends. Okay, it depends on how deep you planted that potato originally. The reason you're hilling potatoes is because you don't want any of the spuds that you're growing to break the soil, because what turns them green is seeing sunlight. So if you planted the potato deep enough, they'll grow out horizontally. And if nothing comes through, you're okay. You're not going to do it. But that's the reason you're hilling potatoes, just to make sure you don't have any get sunburned. Gardenmatic 81. Do I still have my Army uniform or partials? I wish I did. This will piss you off more than anything else. When I got out of the Army, okay, when I ETS'd, the military would pay to move you, okay, wherever you were going next. So I was going off to college, and so I had them move to where I was living. Military packs up all your stuff just like any other moving company. They label all your boxes. I had one box that had all my uniforms, all my awards, everything in it. That was the only box that never showed up. So, and I know exactly what happened is somebody in the moving company knew all my uniforms were in there, and you could take uniforms to the Army Navy surplus store and sell them. So somebody stole all my uniforms, my Class A's, all my medals. What really pissed me off was my certificate. I lost my certificate from interrogation school, and that I could not get replaced. I mean, I got my medals replaced and things like that, but I could never get that diploma replaced, and that sucked. Brenda H. Colorado isn't giving Social Security. Are you referring to SSDI? Like I said, Colorado can't give Social Security, so now I'm more lost in the question here. If it's disability is still done by the federal government. It's not state. What do I do with the military uniform of a deceased individual? That's entirely up to you. I mean, it's not like, a flag where there is, criteria for how to dispose of a flag. So that's entirely up to you what you do with it. Sunset, donate to your local veterans food pantry. This way you know where your donation's going. Yeah, I know about food pantries. You've been around here long enough. You guys know about my food pantry too. So, yeah. Linda Bob, have you ever bought celery from a grocery store, chopped it down 3 inches from the bottom, put it in water or windowsill, and grew roots when planted it with, and it grew roots, then planted it, would keep growing a stalk of celery? Yeah, there are some vegetables that you can grow like that. Yes. Celery is one of them. It'll grow some. You're not going to get nice big stalks of celery or anything like that out of it. But yeah, you will get some tiny little stalks of celery from it. Nothing that's worth it, in my opinion. Terry Hardaway, at what point does weird weather become suspect? Would be about 2002. A long time ago. Let's see, 9:59. Okay. Patera said nice things about me. Patera's an absolute sweetheart. She's definitely worth watching. So yes, I saw the live stream that she did, and I appreciated the kind comments. Question: how do I get rid of chipmunks? I don't have a cat. Well, a dog, a snake. Again, you're going to have to bring in some sort of predator for them. So that's about the only way you're going to get rid of them. I mean, you could put out rat poison or something like that, but I mean, it's like putting out mouse traps. You still got to clean it up. You put out rat poison, then a rat eats the poison, rat goes and dies somewhere. Now you got stinking rotten rat somewhere. Same thing with chipmunks. So, okay, one more here because it's 10 o'clock. What's the best organic to use on killing the grass around my fencing? Probably vinegar. That would be the easiest thing to do. May take a couple of doses, but vinegar will kill the grass. So, all right, guys, it is 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. I thank you all for being here. We will see you all in the morning, hopefully when my eyes aren't quite as tired. But have a good one, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow. Pinball out.